What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Unreal Engine 5 game development live stream where we're back in our Gas Cores project. A game built from scratch, of course, using Unreal Engine 5, the gameplay ability system plugin, C++, blueprints, and all that good stuff. Today, what we're going to do, I want to add a feature to our input buffering system that allows us to kind of snapshot or cache our movement vector input whenever we buffer anything, just because it will help with the general game feel where you're spamming a lot and say for example you attack forward and then on the left thumbstick you buffer an attack while you're aiming to the left, but then since then you let go of the stick and then the buffered input kind of assumes you want to go forward because that's what it recognizes at the time of ability activation. So what I'd like to do is to incorporate it so that we can check this cached value during input buffers and see if it's something non-zero. So basically, if the player executes a melee attack or a dodge or whatever, and their current movement vector is 0, we check this cache value. If that cache value is also 0, we use 0. But if it is a non-zero value, we use that value. But if the player is currently holding a value in their thumbstick, we use that value as the assumed direction. So that's what we're going to try to do today. For that, I want to kind of make myself a wee bit darker, just so I'm not as bright. Looks better. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So it's going to have to exist within our input buffer. So we have an input buffer, settings, and input buffer component. Not sure if we're going to have to add anything to our settings. Maybe just a general reference to which input action we want to also record, but it could be. I think we'll need to do it just so we know what input action to even do. So let's go into our settings first and foremost, and we'll add a new property here. So uProperty, and it's not going to be a T array or anything. It's just going to be like that. I guess, do I have to write pointers like this? Might have to. And we're gonna say movement input action. So we're doing all that. Let's get some comments going as well. So we have a way to get the action that we want to configure, right? So inside of our input buffer component, what I'd like to do is, so we're initializing the component. We're doing this tsoft asset paths. Also, I guess I'll need to resolve the movement input action as well, if I'm gonna have to use it. I have other settings somewhere, right? Developer settings, ability system settings. Let me just see if I have anything that's not like a... I have that, and I have to resolve that. T subclass of NVIDIA container. Yeah, so it looks like I'll have to resolve it as well. So initialize component. I guess I have to do it here. There's load input actions from settings, and that's all there. Because yeah, when we open and when we close it, we gotta have to do the, well, not even open or close, but there's the add input action to buffer. This is where I would need to do it, I think. And there's all that stuff. So, all that, okay. Probably not necessary to do all this though, no? Like, because this can't be just a uh, just a normal pointer. Okay, so let's make the assumption here. So initialize component, we're doing all this. This should be probably separate. So if input return, probably want to have a UE log. Why am I doing that one? Oh, because I have caps lock. UE log temp. If I guess I could just say it's not empty. We would do all this. And then I would say if input buffer settings so I don't want to do this. I would want to do something similar. So I don't need to really do an array. I could just say if const tsoft thing, soft pointer, an action. But I don't need to do that part. Something like that. And then so I need to make a form of this. So void load movement input action from settings. Something to that effect, I guess. Just gonna grab this, change it. So input settings, yes, yes, yes. We do not care. And then we would say so yeah, what is this really doing? It adds these things to this array, right? So I would need to do pretty much all of that, but I would say const like this, tsoft pointer for const, blah, blah, blah. So can I just say for, I don't want to do an array. Can I just say, I have to make a variable, I believe. something like that, I suppose. And then what do I want to say? So instead of doing 4, we would just say, so tsoft object pointer, you input action, soft pointer, just say soft pointer equals action. Const, and then if you input action, no, I could say what? Then I could just say like movement, but action equals get. I think I can get rid of that and just say, so you can now use movement input action. Oh. So movement input action available. So let's look here. So there is an else, right? And the else exists where? So in the original if here. So after the asset paths add, there's an else. And we literally just say movement action equals. So that should be the two cases there. And then we need a getter for this vector. But we also need to record it, right? So at the moment, we say add input action to buffer. We also want to kind of record the input vector. So we could say something like, if movement input action like I just want to do the comparison, then we say movement input action, the get value or there's consume input and modifiers, triggers, value type. I can't remember. Is there any references in here? Maybe inside of the player character, there's some, like, let's see, value. So F input action value, right? That's what I'm looking for. But like, how do I get that from the input? Consume input. So let's see how to get value from input action. Let's see what it tells me using lambda binding. I don't want to. Get that. Is there not a real way to redo this? So how to read input action current value. I shouldn't have to do a lambda or anything. Okay, so I have to get the enhanced input local player subsystem. Fair. Now, how do I do that? Am I adding this to the player controller? Or is it the player character? Character. Okay. So I should be able to say, what can I say? Let's make this its own function here. Function. So vector 2D or f vector 2D. Get movement input axis. Sure. And then I would just have to say some as well down here somewhere. Like that, and then make a hopefully that's valid. Okay, so now we have all these things, so we should be able to say so here we should just be able to say movement and axis equals axis, right? And then I can say down here, we could say, f vector 2D. Current movement. I guess I could always just say return movement axis, right? No. Then I could say, so if you guys, or I could just say you a character and then if then I should be able to say something to this effect. Let's see. Okay, so that isn't really a thing. I hate how the fucking AI makes up shit. Let's see if ChatGPT has a better answer here. It's like, I don't want to have to find it. Like, if I have to, then okay. Hey, how you doing, Casper? Thanks for popping in. I'm doing good. We're doing some input buffering stuff today. So how should I handle this? Because yeah, I guess I'll have to do a lambda, I guess, or just bind action. I think that was one of the suggestions here as well. But what do I need to do? I have to get the enhanced input component and then bind it, right? And listen to it. So I guess I have to do that. So I guess we can do that too. It's load movement input action settings. So I would have to do it here, I think. Or I guess I would have to do it in two places. So you have here and then here. So maybe that's where I would have to do it. So I would have to get the enhanced input in a couple places, I guess. I just don't know that since there's so many places that it has to be. I'm not sure what the best place is to do it. So there is this enhanced input bind action lambda. So like, let's do it this way, I guess. So again, I have to get the enhanced input, which will be, I guess, tricky too. Like, how do I get this quickly? So when I initialize everything, or on begin play, maybe that's where I do it. It's like, yeah, like I do listen, input actions. So maybe I just have to do it here. Where? Okay, so I do get a reference to enhanced input component. Where the heck am I using that? I do it here. So listen to input actions. So maybe I can also just do it here. Okay, maybe that's the place. I can just do it here. So if oh, that's messy looking. Something like that. So movement, input, action, action, and then not really doing that, but what's wrong with this? So class field movement input action can't be captured. Why? Okay, maybe I don't need to pass in that because I don't need to read it. So I can maybe say movement input access like this. Maybe that's okay. maybe we don't need this. Don't need this. Maybe that's okay. But it'll constantly be changing, right? So do I need... how do I want to do this? Like maybe I have to have 2 of them. Like I'm constantly listening for it, and then I'm storing it at the time we press something. Because yeah, this is where the issue is, right? No, it should be, maybe there needs to be 2. I don't like the fact that that might need to be 2, but I'll just call it buffered movement input action. Something like that, maybe. So let's see what happens. Let's compile and let's check now. Because I'll have to see. I think I made that. Yeah, I need to actually know. This is going to fail because I want to make this that category input buffer. Sure. So let's cancel. Please cancel. Right, let's try it one more time. So how's everybody doing this fine Tuesday evening or afternoon, depending on where you're at? Hope you're all good. All right, so we're building 7 actions. Let's see how far we can take it. Yeah, on this coming Thursday, I hope. I won't be streaming, and I'll be working with a friend on more of the design aspects of our game. Because that's what we were doing a little bit last time, where we have our game design document outline, and we were working on it a little bit there. Still have a lot to write about it, but it's good to get things to paper. See where any concerns lie. Yeah, a lot of cool references from my friend here. I teach some people how to use interface functions instead of CAS and hard references on Discord. Nice! Yeah, it's always good to try to resolve hard references and casts as much as possible. I remember when I was working on Aquanox Deep Descent, I remember there was a point where whenever you loaded the project, like opened the project, it loaded the entire game. And that was because of basically the reference chain from because the main menu needed a reference the player controller for some reason. And that player controller had hard references to levels and all this crazy stuff. So yeah, you definitely got to be careful where you're doing your cast, where you have your hard references, where you can resolve references, and stuff like that. So good on you for teaching people how to do that. Looks like I have to restart my computer. I'm going to do that after the stream, of course. People learn from popular YouTube videos and they never touch on the subject to keep it simple. True. Very true. Because this aspect of Unreal Engine, and probably other engines, I'm not sure, is not very fun or pretty, and people don't want to touch up on it. But I try to keep my hard references to a pretty good minimum, honestly. Like, in a lot of cases, and I could be wrong, but a lot of the cases, people's player character or player controllers are the ones with the most references. So, like, if I look at my size map, it's pretty beefy. But it's all like animations. So this is like the pose search chooser and the animation blueprint and stuff like that. And then this is all the skeletal meshes and things like that, which can be problematic too. But yeah, there's also references to the equipment ability, and then the BP projectile example with all this stuff. Like, that could definitely be soft references, and like the ability set itself could also be a soft reference that I resolve at runtime to grant the abilities. So there's definitely ways that we can clean this up, but you gotta start somewhere. And yeah, the biggest offender right now is this pose searches and everything. RS Khan from YouTube says P. I agree. Oh, message was retracted. Okay. Stand by your P. Oh yeah, so what we're doing. So now in our project settings, we have inside of our input buffer settings, we should have now input movement action. So we should see IA move. And now there's a bunch, which again is probably a problem. I should remove it. So it's probably gonna be gas character here. So that should be all good. So ideally, we should be able to read this value. I am. Nice. Short and sweet. No, I don't want to import. Let's go to my player melee. Let's see if I can prove what I'm trying to prove here. Because we do find target, right? And we perform this targeter thing. But when we don't, let me also remove some of this stuff that we don't need. So if there is no target, what do we do, right? So we construct motion warp through this, and we use get input direction, right? And get input direction is a helper function within gameplay ability. So maybe I can use this function myself. But for the sake of trying something out, let's see. Do I have input buffer as a thing? No. Okay. So we're gonna have to grab that in some way. So let's get owning actor, get component by class, input buffer, so now that we have our input buffer, I have to connect the source control. I need to relog in to P4. Kind of proud of myself. I was able to put together P4 in Unreal Game Sync. Again, by myself. Luckily, there's documentation online. It's not like I'm a miracle worker or something. But Devon Office, pending workspace, all good. Now I should be able to see it here. Devon Office, accept settings. Yay, check it out. Cool. So let's go back into our Git. Yeah, I think we want to do it inside of our. So when there's no target, for example, we're doing it here, right? So let's grab our input buffer component. Now there should be like get movement input axis value. Let's just print that out just to see if we get zero values. So let's go in slow motion. So you're not gonna be able to see this too well, but what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna attack forward, and then I'm gonna buffer while moving to the left, the attack. And I just wanna see if I get an input vector that makes the most sense here. So I'm going to attack, buffer, and we get all zeros. So access none. Okay, so that makes sense. And I know why, because our owning actor is our player state. So we need to get avatar actor. So we should at least get the input buffer component correct. So let's try that again. So slower motion, I'm going to attack, and then I buffer to the left. Now we are getting values that I think make sense. There is still the concern when I'm opening it and everything. Because yeah, it doesn't seem like. Because it's I'm also not doing it when I'm triggering it, so there could be problems there maybe. But let's see, for the sake of argument, I forget how I'm going to do this, but we're going to split this. We're going to make vector 3 vector. I think I have to do them in opposite things. So x is y, y is x. Then I gotta do an unrotate, I think, or rotate. So rotate vector, and then we just gotta get avatar actor. Or no, I can get the controller, right? Get controller from actor info. Should be able to say get control rotation. Now this should be my direction. Let's just be safe. Let's normalize. And now let's draw an arrow from our actor's location. And then plus this times some length. That's split. Combined, make it a float. 200 or something like that. That arrow size, we'll make it 2. Line color, let's make it pink. Why not? Duration 5. Thickness 1. Just make sure the function completes. Hopefully this will let me do it. Okay. So let's make sure I don't have a target. So I can't tell. That looks right. No. Make the arrow size huge. Let's see it. It doesn't seem like That's being drawn the way I'd expect. Gotta rotate it. Or do I have something else? Oh. That's my problem. So line it. All right, let's try this again. Okay, so no. So yeah, I was right the first time. This has to be that. Has to be that. So that's drawn correctly. So now let's see. Let's slow things down. I'm gonna attack forward, then buffer left, and I get the right direction. So what this could mean is, I could say, hey, is the length greater than 0? I would have to do it here as well. So length. Let's just assume we want to use this vector, right? Let's just assume that for the moment. So what would happen is I attack forward, I buffer left, I let go, and now I'm going left. So that's exactly what I want, but there is the use cases of the following. So we're going to see get current input, right? I'm going to move this all to C++, but first we're going to say, now get vector length, this is greater than 0.1, whatever it might be, select. So no, if yes, this, we could just kind of pass that on, right? So now the use case would be I attack forward, I buffer left, but then I'm holding forward. I go forward. I do it again. I buffer right. I let go, and that's wrong, right? Unless the buffer wasn't. Now the buffer went through. So let's see if this works. If I go like this, buffer left. Yeah. So something stopped working. We can maybe look at what we're seeing. Yeah, maybe this is not. Let me, instead of doing a breakpoint, let me just print the vector length. So, what is 1? Still 1. Still 1. So for whatever reason, input direction is always a length of 1. So we're using get last input vector. So I think that's the problem. Get, yes, check it out. Do I need to use the character movement component? Can I just do the owning player character? That movement. Because yeah, get last, return. So maybe I have to do that instead. Let's see. Because I would be expecting 0 when I don't have that stick down. So let's try again. So doing that, it's still 1, still 1, still 1. So like, I don't get why. So let's grab this. Press X, bam. Oh. Let's try again. So what's wrong? So why is this? Why is that 1? Now it's 0. If I'm holding a button. And then... Why is it backwards? Huh? So am I... I'm probably getting this then. I am. Okay. Makes sense. Okay, so let's see how we can just simply incorporate this into this function, right? So we have this. We get the character movement thing. Then I want to say I should probably get the input buffer one at the beginning, right? So on give ability, we're doing all this stuff. Well, I guess I have to do it inside. Well, okay. Excuse me. So over here, now I want to say const new input buffer component. I need to move it. Should be good. I could say if. So if the input buffer doesn't exist, we just kind of follow that. But if it does exist, then this is where we do our kind of query. So we say if our last input vector is nearly 0, and then we say if So if our last input vector gets if no is new and 0, then we say we do the same thing here. Return this, right? No, hold on. Ah. So yeah, both of those are 0. Cool. Then we do this for the thing here. So if the character movement, if the last input vector is nearly 0, and then I would say else here, and then I would say return. And I have to do this math here, rotate vector and everything. So get I mean, how do I have access to that? So get controller from actor info. This. Get control rotation. And then I would say what? Like view Kismet, math library. And then I would do what? Rotate vector, is that a thing? I don't need to do that. What do I need to do? Hey, thanks for the subscription there, Gorov. Much appreciated. Oh, there's a rotate vector. What does this thing look like? Can I open it, please? Okay. Okay, so there's a rotate vector, but it's a quad. Let's see what ChatGPT says for what I need. So use rotate angle axis. Okay, so I should be able to say rotate this way. So rotate vector. So I rotated this by this vector, so I gotta make a vector here. So I need to say, so f vector to d movement input vector equals, yeah, now I gotta say f vector, yeah, just f vector movement it's a 2D, so movement vector equals f vector, and then I would say y. And then x, and then 0. Then I can say, so return rotate vector by movement vector. normal? This is all like redundant. So hopefully that will work. I should be able to say like literally I should still be able to say this. So like I would get the same appropriate vector. So let's do a file. Okay, let's see. So let's put this in slow motion. I do this and then I buffer left and it works. Okay. Now, what happens if I do this? I buffer left, but then I messed up my use case there. So I do this, I buffer left, but now I'm forward. It still does it. I do an attack, I buffer left, now I'm aiming backwards. Okay, and we just didn't buffer. So buffer, now I'm going down. Now so that seems to have worked. I think that's exactly what I wanted to do and to accomplish here. So let's do some other tests here. So I attack forward, I attack forward, I attack left, I attack forward, I did that. Now I'm just doing this. So it definitely flushes everything. Okay. So let me just do that. Seems fine. So we'll need to update the target preset as well, I believe. We have this sort by input angle, which is in code. So I would need to do similar checks there, I think. But also in Dodge. So we can do player Dodge. So I'm doing all this kind of directional stuff. So where is this one? Trace for Dodge and position, find angle. Am I still doing anything that's... Yeah, I'm still doing things that are server side and everything, so I should just be able to do a lot of this crap here. So we're doing this, right? I should just be able to get last input or get direction. Like get input direction. Should be able to say that, no? So now, in theory, I should be able to say dodge forward, dodge right, no buffer, which is fine. I dodge right. There we go. So boom, boom, but then forward again. That all seems to be working okay. Seems like it feels good. It's hard to tell. Okay. Yeah, we gotta do it next for our target preset for input angle score. Let's see if we can quickly do that too. Is it under systems? Targeting sorts. Input angle. So under init, this is where I think, yeah, so normalize delta rotator, get actual quad pitch. So I think this is where it's doing it. So this is where I would have to do some additional checks, I believe. So I would say, instead of saying get last input vector, it would be the same checks that I just did in the gameplay ability. Maybe I can do something similar. So I would need to say, if unit is it input buffer component input buffer equals blah blah, yes. Then we would say if input buffer get access dot get c normal is nearly 0. Guess I will make an f vector here. So f vector input direction equals f vector 0, and we would say blah blah blah. First, I guess I would have to say, if source pawn at last vector dot say normal dot 0, then we would go here. So then I guess I could just say else input direction equals that. Then I would just say this. But I feel like I'm doing something wrong here. It seems that, yeah. So input direction is already being set in places. So it's already a variable, so I'm just going to do that. Right. I guess I gotta say, something like that. This is where I would need to do the same. something like that. Maybe. I have to go. See you later, man. Thanks for popping in, Talos. It's much appreciated. Take care. So let's look. So we have our character 0, right? So if the source pawn, this move vector, is nearly 0, that's when we check all this stuff. And we check if this is valid. And all the else's get to here. So this should work. Let's see. Okay, so now to check and test this, right? We need to have 2 enemies kind of next to each other. So, perfect. So we jump in, right? I do an attack, and then I buffer to the left. If the buffer had opened, so do it again, buffer to the left. So I guess it makes sense. I don't think this is working. Okay, maybe that worked. It's not. Doesn't feel right. It doesn't seem correct. That sun is so bright. I'm gonna just drop here. Now I should be able to just say, if I'm moving forward, it shouldn't get anything. And then I buffer to the left. So we do get to this point. It's weird that it's such a low value. So let's go here again, just to be certain. Ah. That doesn't feel right. See, this value seems fine. I'm getting 0.5, right? That seems appropriate. So maybe it's some. I feel like this. Okay, so now I'm getting 0.5. But the vector still seems kind of wrong. It also doesn't seem like it's flushing correctly because now I'm dodging in wrong directions. So let me see. Yeah, so now I'm dodging forward where I should be dodging backwards. So I definitely need to flush this input thing for sure when it's consumed. So maybe when I call this, I have to do probably a better function. Am I doing any other? Unless the issue is I gotta just do return buffer movement input access. Maybe that's the issue. Not too sure. Let's just double check, and then we're gonna have to call it a day, I think. So let's see. Let's see what we got. Assuming this compiles successfully. But yeah, the sun is killing me. I can't see anything. So yeah, at a certain point, yeah, we're getting the movement input axis value, right? But then when we snapshot it somewhere, right? Under the load, close, flush, activate, add information. That's right. So I hope this gets me a result. That makes sense. I don't know why it was working before, but let's see. So again, I attack forward, I buffer to the left, I let go. So hopefully, I probably should do it with dodge. I dodge forward, I buffer to the right, and then do that. But now it's always to the right because that cache value is never never flushed, I guess. Right? So this probably needs to be a thing. So let's get rid of this. So it definitely can't be const. So we're gonna say f vector to b. Hopefully that works. So let's try one more time and then we'll call it a night. Our project's taking its sweet time. Okay, so we failed. Huh? What did I do? Cannot convert this argument from type const. Function is missing const. Can it be const? I don't think it can. Yeah. So why is this Let's see. Okay, so it's because I'm making this const. Is everything okay there? Let's try that one more time. Hey, we got a boo boo. Hey, boo boo. Hodge, you want to be on stream, boo boo? We got a loud little kitty here today. Nothing wrong with that, of course. So, you want to say hi to people? It's okay. Attack of the Kisses. Alright. So, moment of truth, at least for the non-targeting side of things. So, the idea, what we're trying to solve, so I attack forward, I buffer left, I let go, and yeah, that doesn't work. Let's try again just to be sure. So I attack forward, I buffer left. Yeah, so definitely broke something. Let's just check real quick. So we're gonna go like this. Then we're gonna go like that and let go. So we're definitely doing something wrong. We'll have to continue this later. Lola, no. So let's add it to do. Fix this. Not properly returning right value. Okay. So that's where I'm going to end for today. Thank you all so much for watching. For those watching from Twitch, make sure to follow. A follow would be much appreciated. Also, make sure to join our Discord. And for those watching from YouTube, make sure to subscribe. And for those anywhere else, make sure to follow me on those platforms. They'll be all super duper much appreciated. We're not going to stream on Thursday, and this weekend I'm going away for a trip. So we're not going to be doing much streaming this week. So keep an eye out. But until then, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.